Alright, today we're going to do factored trinomials, quadratic trinomials. So we have an x squared, which is a quadratic term. We have 7x, which is a linear term. We have negative 15, which is a constant. So that's a quadratic trinomial, 3 terms. And up till now, every quadratic trinomial we had a 1 in front of the quadratic term, but now we're going to have a number that isn't 1 in front of it. So first thing I want to do is rearrange it so the quadratic term is in front. So 2x squared minus 7x minus 15. You want a descending order of the variables, highest to lowest power in that order. And again, up till now, this has been 1x squared, so our job was to find two numbers that multiply to make negative 15, and also added to make negative 7, then we broke it down like we always did. We got the answer. Now, when you get a number in front of x squared, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but not a lot. Okay, so we're still going to make a factoring chart, and if you've stopped using the factoring chart up through now, you're going to want to start using it again, at least until you get to the point where you're comfortable enough. Maybe you can skip the factoring chart on these two at some point. But what I want is factors of something whose sum is something. And let me highlight this to identify how we're finding this. So I'm going to use a blue highlight for this, and I'll use a yellow highlight for this.
I don't have either.
Oh, that's fine. You don't need that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the first and last objects together to get the number that goes right here. So these two things, whatever they are going to multiply together in order to get what goes right there. Sign included. So I'm doing a positive 2x squared multiplied by a negative 15. That gets me negative 30x squared. For the sum, I want the sum to match the middle term, including the sign. So the sum in this case is going to be whatever the middle term is, negative 7x specifically in this problem. And what I'm doing is, don't worry about the x's so much as the numbers. It's the same task we had before. Two numbers multiply to make negative 30 that add to make negative 7. What are they?
5 and... no.
3 and 10, or negative 10 and 3.
Negative 10 and 3, right? So negative 10 and 3. But instead of just putting negative 10 and 3, I want to put negative 10x and 3x. So you're finding the number part the same way. Just put an x on each one of them. So if I add negative 10x and 3x, I get negative 7x. And what we're going to do is we're going to change this problem into a 4-term polynomial by changing this object here into these two objects here. And if you have a choice, in other words, if there's a positive number listed here, put the positive number in the third position of all the terms. So watch out what I mean here. 2x squared stays the same. Negative 7x gets broken down into two objects, specifically negative 10x plus 3x. And then minus 15 stays the same. And it's very important that this is broken down exactly correct. Negative 8x plus 1x, negative 9x plus 2x. There's all kinds of ways to make negative 7x. There's only one way to do it where it both makes the correct product and correct sum, specifically these two numbers. And when I talk about the third position being positive, position 1, 2, 3, 4. Third position positive. When you can do it, that makes it a better expression. All right, so when you have 1 minus 1 plus, make sure the plus ends up here. I could have just easily put 2x squared plus 3x minus 10x minus 15. That's not wrong, it's just more difficult. Two minuses you can't avoid it. We're going to see that in example 3. And I'll show you how to handle it when you can't avoid it. It's not impossible, it's just more difficult. So if you can't avoid it, you have to deal with it. So, is everybody comfortable so far with what I've done?
Yes.
Alright, so we're ready to go on to the next step. So, just recently we learned about factor by grouping, right?
Yes.
Factor by grouping, I only think it was lesson 103 that we did that. We have 4-term polynomial. We group the first two, we group the second two, and the expression we create should be equivalent to the original expression, right? So, 2x squared, same as 2x squared. Negative 10x plus 3x, same as negative 7x, plus negative 15, same as negative 15. This expression is exactly the same as that expression with the grouping happening. If I look at group number 1, I'll do this in red. I'm trying to find a common factor, something evenly divides both the number and the letter. X and what else?
5.
2.
How about 2? 2x. 2 divides 2 divides 10. X divides x squared and x, so 2x is the greatest common factor. If I divide each object by 2x, 2x squared divided by 2x is going to be x. Negative 10x divided by 2x is minus 5. The second group is here. The plus sign is part of the second group, so make sure the plus sign shows up. Common factor of 3 and 15 is 3. Divide 3x by 3, I get x. Divide negative 15 by 3, I get minus 5. And when factor by grouping works correctly, we should get a binomial pair that's the same. So both the red object and the green object contain x minus 5, which is a common factor. And if I take x minus 5 out, 2x plus 3 is left. All I'm doing with this black and purple here is the same thing I did with the red and the green from here to here. Common factor 2x, I took it out and I divided by it. Common factor 3, took it out, divided by it. Here, between the red and the green, x minus 5 is a common factor, I took it out. And then in the other parentheses, I divided by it. Divided by this, I get 2x. Divided by this, I get plus 3. There's my second parentheses. The correct answer is 1 times the other. They're not being added or subtracted here. The final answer is just that, a product of two binomials. Okay. If you're not sure it's right, all you have to do to check a factoring problem to make sure it's right, if you FOIL this, you should get the original problem. Okay. X times 2x is 2x squared. Check. Negative 10x and positive 3x makes negative 7x. Check. Negative 5 and 3 make negative 15. Check.